Hi, it's Strife here again, and today I'll be showing you how to counter every single enemy from Genshin Impact 1.1 and 1.0. Obviously, this won't include bosses or enemies from 1.2, Dragon Spine. However, this will include very obscure enemies such as spiders, Hilichurls, you name it. I'll be showing almost every single attack pattern by every enemy countered by Beidou. Before we get started, let me explain what two-stage counter is. Hopping into Beidou's talents, we can go to Tidecaller, which is her E. So there are technically 3 stages of Beidou's counter, which is a standard press E, which looks a little bit like this. An easy way to tell that this is stage 0 counter is that her sword is at the 4 o'clock position, and she has left leg forward, right leg back. And there's not a lot of electricity intakes around her. If you hold it, there are 2 stages to it. I'll be referring to this as stage 1, which is where you have been hit 1 time. An easy way to tell that this is stage 1 counter is that Beidou's sword goes a little bit more to the 3 o'clock position and her right leg starts to move forward past her left leg. And this is stage 2, which is a full counter, where you have been hit 2 times. And how to tell this is a stage 2 counter is that Beidou's right leg is completely in front of her left and that her sword is glowing bright purple. And if you go to her passive Lightning Storm, here it explains that if you perfectly time a counter, it'll grant you the effects of stage 2 counter. In this video, I'll be showing you all stage 2. If anyone's curious, my Beidou is C6 from this video right here. The weapon I'll be using today is a Serpent Spine because it has a higher crit rate chance than my Unforged, so you'll be seeing a lot more consistent numbers, so you'll be able to tell when it's a stage 2 counter. If you're curious about artifacts, here they are. I'm running a 2-set Thundering Fury and Gambler for her maximum E damage, and here are her stats. I tried to get a crit rate of 50% and a crit damage of anything higher would have been nice, and her electro damage is at 73.8. Before we start, I am aware of how to proc Beidou's 2-stage counter burning the grass and standing in there with Shangling. However, the point of this video is to show you how to counter every single enemy's attack patterns, no matter where you are, so you don't have to burn yourself, or if there's no grass in the field, you'll be able to do it anywhere. Without further ado, let's just get into it. First are slimes. No fantasy RPG is complete without them. There are 2 size types of slimes among the 7 different elements, large and small. The small ones are only capable of 1 attack, and the large ones have a bit more variety. Starting with the animal slimes, the small ones will jump up and then bonk. You want to press E when you see them in the air. The large one is capable of a standard bonk, and they will also shoot 3 bubbles at you once they jump high into the air. For the bonk, you'll want to press E once you see this face. Next are the Geo Slimes. Once again, the small ones can only perform a standard bonk. And the large ones only have 2 attacks, a jump, and one where they spit a rock at you. To counter the jump, E right before the red circle underneath you fills up all the way. Next are everyone's favorite Dendro Slimes. We've all been there where we're trying to explore the world, then boom! They're a little different from the other slimes in the sense that they will not attack you unless you aren't looking at them. To lure them out, you need to be faced away from them. The small ones, just like the small animal slimes, will jump up to bonk you. However, these ones are a little harder to counter as they will only jump up for a brief amount of time. So instead, to counter them, you will need to E once you see movement in the grass. The large ones only have 1 counterable attack, which is their jump. Next are Hydro Slimes. The small ones bonk when and the large ones have 3 attacks, your standard bonk and jump, and they can also shoot water bubbles. The bubble bounces, so it gives you enough time to counter. Small pyro slimes have a standard bonk, so counter accordingly. The large slimes have 3 attacks, which are bonk, jump, and they can also spit 3 fireballs. To counter the fireballs, notice when the slime starts to have intakes around it, and E once the fireballs are about to hit you. Just like all of them, the small cryo slime can bonk. And the large one has 4 attacks, bonk, jump, and it can also spray cryo mist, and they can also shoot 3 icicles. You can counter the icicles by paying attention to when the slime will expand, and 3 icicles will form above its head, so E once they're about to hit you. And for the mist, I believe it can only trigger stage 1 counter. For Electro Slimes, I won't be telling you how to counter them for obvious reasons. Even so, I still need to include footage or else my title is clickbait. You love them, you hate them, you love to enact genocide on them. There are 5 types of standard Hilichurls: Normal, Fighter, Berserker, Grenadier, and Guard. Starting with the normal ones, they have 2 attacks, which are a melee and a rock toss. Fighters have 3 attacks with a standard melee, a combo, and a jump attack. Berserkers have a combo attack where they rush at you and a standard melee. There are 2 types of guard Hilichurls, those with wooden shields and those with geo shields. Beidou can only destroy the geo shields. That aside, they only have a standard melee. Grenadiers will throw a pyro slime at you. Hilichurl shooters come in 4 different types: Normal, Pyro, Cryo, and Electro, and they shoot once every 4 seconds. For the normal ones, press E 1 second after they aim at you. Pyro ones can proc a stage 2 counter every time they shoot at you, despite being a perfectly timed counter or not. Cryo ones can do the same, as they can proc stage 2 counter as well. However, the Electro one will only proc a stage 1 counter if you mess up your timing. Samachurls each have 2 attacks, a melee and an elemental specific one. Despite what I just said about them having 2 attacks each, the Dendro Samachurl only has 1 attack that can be consistently countered, which is his bonk. The animal Samachurl will summon 3 tornadoes and has a standard bonk. The Hydro one will summon 3 bursts of water from the ground and also has a good old bonk. To counter the water, you can see bubbles beneath your feet and E 1 second after it appears. And finally, the Geo one can summon Geo Spikes underneath you, and of course, has a bonk. Counter them in the same fashion as the Hydro one. Mitachurls are big boys in the next enemy type. There are 3 variants, the Axer and 2 Shielders. The Axe user has 4 attacks, a slow startup 2-hit melee, a jump, they can also throw Pyro Slimes, and a very annoying spin attack. Just like the guard Hilichurls, the Mitachurl shielders come in Geo and Wooden. Both have the same attack patterns of a shield bash, a charge, and will throw slimes. However, once their shields are broken, they have a 2-hit melee and a charge as well. The Wooden shield Mitachurl will throw a Dendro Slime. The Geo shielded one has all of the attacks of the Wooden one, except he throws a Geo Slime instead of a Dendro one. Lawachurls are huge boys and have a shielded state and a normal form, and have 5 attacks. His attacks include a 2-hit melee, a standard jump, a charge, a ground pound that will create damaging Geo shockwaves, and he can also throw a large slime at a distance. Next are those annoying shield boys you all know and love. There are 3 types, Pyro, Cryo, and Hydro, and each have 3 distinctive attack types. The Pyro one shoots a fireball that travels low to the ground. He can summon 3 heads to shoot fire at you continuously, and once his shield breaks, he will summon fire from the ground and recast it. Just like the Pyro one, the Cryo one has a shoot attack. However, instead of summoning fire heads, he will drop 3 icicles onto you. And once his shield breaks, he will summon icicles to orbit around him. To counter the icicles, you'll need to see where they're about to land with the red circle underneath your feet. Unlike the other two, the Hydro Abyss Mage only has one counterbow attack, which is his shoot. His other 2 attacks are bubbles, not like the Slimes ones. These are the annoying ones that trap you, and cannot be countered by Beidou. Next are these sneaky boys. I'll be demonstrating how to counter them when picking flowers. For Whopper Flowers, you can counter their initial summon as it counts as damage towards the player. It also has a spin attack and will shoot fireballs. Just like the Pyro counterpart, you can counter its summoning and it will shoot ice balls and spin. But on top of that, it will also summon ice spikes from the ground. Fatui skirmishers, aka more shield boys, can be broken into 3 categories: thick boys, thin boys, and buff boys. Starting with the thick boys, they have similar attacks, which include a jump and a shoot, and the Cryo one has 1 extra one. First, the Hydro one shoots a projectile water shot and jumps. It is a lot easier to counter the Cryo Thick Boy as his Ice Mist will instantly proc your stage 2 counter. It is also worth noting that he has 2 variations of this attack. One with shield down where he will only do 1 sweep, and when his shield is on, he will do about 8 sweeps. Aside from that, he has a jump and a kick. Thin boys use projectiles and have 2 variations each. The Geochanter has 1 attack with 2 variations depending on whether his shield is up or not. The same goes for the Pyro one. He has a single shot and a 3-shot burst. The buff boys share no common attacks. Starting with the Animal Boxer, he has a Suck Punch and a Standard Punch. The Electro one has a 1-hit, a 2-hit, and a 3-hit melee combo with his hammer, each of which are pretty easy to counter. Edgelord has a ton of attacks including 2 dash attacks, 2 standard melees, a spinning knives attack, and literally Shadow Clone Jutsu. The Fatui, Cicins, has 4 attacks. She'll summon 3 flies which can shoot autonomously, she can charge them forward to hit you, she can summon lightning strikes, and there's everyone's favorite supercharged state. There are about 7 different kinds of treasure hoarders. Starting with scouts, they got 2 attacks, a kick and a knife throw. To counter the throw, press E once you see the shine gleam in their knives. Marksmen shoot like the other shooter Hilichurls and can be countered in the same way. There are 4 types of potioneers: Electro, Pyro, Cryo, and Hydro. And just like the scouts, they have a kick, and they will throw their corresponding elemental objects at you. Gravediggers have 2 attacks, one where he will shovel a dirt projectile at you, which will obscure vision, and a standard melee. Seamen have a standard hit and charge combo. Crushers have hammer attacks ranging from 1 to 3 hits. Finally, Pugilists have a lunge punch, standard punch, and 3-hit combo. Rune Guards have a total of 4 attacks, 6 homing missiles, a stomp clap combo, a 2-hit punch and jump combo, and a 7-second spin. The last of which I do not recommend trying to counter all the way because it can break Beidou's shield. Rune Hunters have a few attacks that can be countered normally, and some that, when countered, would not hit it. So instead I'll only show you its 1-hit, 2-hit, and 2-hit combo for spin and side spin, and its dash attack. Overall, Rune Hunters are a bit tricky to counter as they have a short startup time for animations, and some of their attacks can break Beidou's shield. Next is Sonic the Hedgehog. I meant Geovaship Hatchlings. They have 4 attacks, a melee, a spinning attack, its sonic roll, and a jump. The spinning attack is a bit harder to counter as its startup animation doesn't give a whole lot of time to prepare. And its rolling attack is basically random whether you'll get hit or not. The Eye of the Storm has 2 counterable attacks, a vacuum which it drops down like other enemies' jump attacks, and a spin attack. And just for fun, I included myself trying to counter its Domain of Wild Wind. Next are Cicins. I'm not making that joke again. And they come in Hydro and Electro. Both can shoot their corresponding elements. They can be a little awkward to counter as they might not be flying on the same axis as Beidou's Sword Swing. But overall, they have a charge up animation that will prompt you when to counter. Spiders shoot webs. What else do you want me to say? I couldn't find a PNG of it, but here you go. Finally, we have our last enemy, which are the elusive Ways or unusual Hilichurl, whichever you prefer. He's got a briefcase melee, he can also throw 2 Primo Gems and a cabbage, and his final attack is he can throw a Homu doll from Honkai Impact. Am I doing this correct? Oh, I didn't see over there. Alright, you made it to the end of the video. Thanks for watching all of it. It means a lot. I put about a month of work into this, finding every enemy, waiting for them to respawn sometimes when I kill them in one hit. But I hope you got a lot from this video, and I don't know, if this gets like, I don't know, like 100 likes, I can make 1.2 if you guys want, and maybe even boss enemies down the line. But that's it. But consider leaving us a like or subscribing, it really means a lot. Thank you so much.